it weren't regulated, anyone could use dangerous magic.
Like half-minute hero.
Does that happen?
So I just randomly played that game recently, and one of the first levels is an evil guy, evil wizard man is like, I just overheard someone reciting the incantation of destruction. Now I know it, and I'm gonna do it in 30 seconds.
I remember, I'm pretty sure I beat the first half-minute hero and I liked it, so I bought the sequel, which I think the sequel was like a Vita exclusive or something for a little bit.
It was.
And then like the first level was so ridiculously self-aware and like jokey. I was like, okay, not interested at all.
Like this guy.
Yeah, exactly. It actually was. Because, I mean, the first game was like, the premise was a joke, but it did kind of take itself seriously.
The ultimate sin is not necessarily being meta. The ultimate sin is like just never shutting up about it and like taking up all your time to call out how funny it is. And the reason I randomly played it is because I found out that the composer in the game is the same as Neo Turf Masters.
Oh.
Got an onion.
That's Floyd's victory quote whenever he gets an onion from a battle. Got onion.
I was actually referencing Jumping Flash.
Oh.
Got another.
Got an onion.
Yeah.
You know, Tales, at least this style of Tales game is like pretty heavily based on fighting games, so why does jumping suck so much? The jump attacks are always super slow, and landing on the ground takes like an hour. Even the characters that are meant to be aerial, like Judith in this game or Mila and Zilia, are still like, they still have shitty air stats. So it's like, what is a double jump gonna do for me? Give me a break. Mila and Zilia has a double jump and a double air dash. She can also cast spells in the air, but that just makes her fly. I don't even know if I'd count that.
Was Grace's the first game to not have these same goddamn enemies every time? You know what I mean? They're like the axe beaks and the... No, I'm pretty sure it had axe beaks.
It has axe beaks and filifolas and wolves.
Because even, I mean, because those were around even in the 2D times.
Yeah, they're series mainstays.
But I don't even get why. Like, nobody cares about them. They're not like mascots.
Because they were already designed. Even if like it went from 2D to 3D, you still have the design. You have a sprite to work off very easily. Because yeah, there's no Goomba of fucking Tales of. In Arise, they're always used to reiterate a thing that just happened in a cutscene. Where it's like, okay, there's two races of people. Both of them can use magic, but one side can't use light magic and the other side can't use dark magic. You learn this in a cutscene, and then literally the next 2 to 3 skits are, hey, Black Mage Girl, so those people can't use light magic, right? And then she'll say, yeah. And then the other guy will say, so that means we can't use dark magic, right? And she's like, yeah. And like, it's fucking absurd that the skits are so long and so boring and so ugly. Alright, cool.
At what point do the voice actors like record lines and they're just like, man, this is just the same shit over and over? Not like in the same game, like just among multiple games, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of
Especially if you're typecast.
If they just hit a breaking point at some point internally where they're like,
I don't know, Mike Pollock has been saying the same shit as Eggman for like 20 years.
Yeah, but that's the same character at least. And also they're decently creative with them.
Yay! You're the greatest!
I swear to God, that the voice of that kid is like, he gets typecast as Tales of Random Child.
This really makes it feel like our hard work was worth it.
Halure shouldn't worry about monsters attacking, as long as the barrier stays like this.
Halure's tree will keep everyone...
It's pretty... Nobody's even talking to each other. They're just saying stuff.
They're saying things at each other.
I feel like that could have been one where it just appears on the side of the screen. Estelle says that, and then the other two say, yeah. And then that's it, you know?
Yes, that one was... Not only was it a thing that just happened in the cutscene, it was people repeating things.
Also, I feel like they could have incorporated, like, the awestruckness a little more, like, It could have just been like, Estelle says like, that's cool, and then Carol's like, no fucking kidding, what the heck is going on?
What the heck, Estelle? Who the hell
He's
taught you
pink,
that?
the tree's pink, what the fuck's going on?
You two are already a thing then.
No, it's not like that at all.
Why did his voice change?
Because this is a cutscene that wasn't voiced in the original.
I thought he was just being cheeky, but then I realized it's the other voice.
It's the other guy.
Well, anyway, we best be getting away from the town.
It's not like atrocious.
It's not
He tried his
bad, but
best.
it's not like even remotely, or not even remotely close. It's like, it's noticeable. I do kind of wish they just redubbed the game, even though that would have been shitty. At least it would have been more consistent. That's all I can think of whenever I hear the new guy is, oh, new guy. This wasn't voiced in the original.
The fact that I could tell even when the volume is this low kind of says how different it is.
I do think that if you're not told about it, then it's not, like, you might not notice. I mean, you might notice.
I mean, right there, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking he was doing a weird voice, but then I remembered.
Yeah, there's 21 years worth of stuff. Listing everything might take a while.
21.
On second thought, never
This
mind.
guy's
I
old.
don't want to hear it.
21 is actually quite old for a Tales protagonist.
Yeah, it might be the oldest.
I remember when Stone said he was 16, like 4/5 into the game, I was like, fuck off.
Wait, did he? I don't even remember that.
He was like 16 or 17.
You're just like, fuck off.
I mean, it makes sense. He's a child, I guess, but
The youngest is either,
Kyle?
like, by technicality, Child Asbel,
Oh, yeah.
or real answer is probably the kid from Innocence. Because you play like half your party is actual like toddlers.
Oh,
Well, not they're children. They're like probably supposed to be 10 years old.
I think Kyle is 12.
Also, okay, how old do you think this kid is?
9.
He's 15.
For anime, he's 9.
Apparently he's fucking 15. I thought they were all children. I think your answer of Kyle is probably right. Also, apparently Kyle is also 15. He doesn't look it.
Yeah, I thought he was like 12. But doesn't he look like he's from like Beyblade or something?
Yeah, I mean, the art style of the game is the Destiny art style, which is weird.
Yeah, I beat you into next week.
Yeah. Yeah, boy.
He was saying something about going to catch someone who'd been vandalizing ruins.
Where is he now?
He said something like incredibly specific situation.
We haven't stolen anything. Sheesh.
Saying that in the middle of a room with a bunch of people.
The skits are like the Metal Gear Solid codec calls, where the only people that can hear it are the participants.
Once she starts reading, you can't pull her away.
Also, it's nice that the
This seems to be literature
the
from the
pauses after people say their lines is not that long.
Yeah.
Because that's another problem with Arise's skits, is that every time someone says something, there's a second long pause because they have to bring up a new panel.
That actually was an issue in Vesperia as well. But every so often it would work comedically well.
It means we get to look for evidence.
Found it. I guess the thing he's holding is a Blastia.
We're terribly sorry
It's a
for letting you have you
microphone.
like this.
It is probably a microphone, because, yeah, Blastia is just shorthand for technology.
I wonder what the most vague shorthand for technology is in
So,
real life.
What do you want?
Tech? Wait, I guess that's not vague.
Well, you see,
Tech.
Parts?
Scrap.
This party of 5, it's like you start with only Yuri and you're like, oh, Yuri's pretty freaking sweet. And then in order you get a sheltered princess, a dog, a child, and then another child.
Jesus. Well, because we keep seeing because you've lived a lot longer, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so if you had the shorter skits where it's like, oh, Repeat's getting good at using items.
Oh, I see.
A long time ago I watched a video of the group victory quotes in Abyss.
Those aren't very good
And
either.
it was funny because like every single one was like, one person be like, you're an idiot, and then the other guy would be like, fuck you. That was basically all the group victory quotes.
Everybody in Abyss hates each other. Really made me not want to root for anybody.
What?
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Wound up? One of Rita's weapons might be a yo-yo. Also, Rita's in here. Also, look, they push this like this. It cuts away.
Come on, just a little more.
There's just a giant fucking hole. When are they gonna release Advance Wars 1+2?
Never.
Yeah, you can. I think anybody can wear anything.
Here, have some shoes.
If Rapide had boots, would he wear them like this or like this?
Yeah, you just go in the battle and he's just walking on 2 feet. Just a completely different character.
He's
Stance
Yuri.
change.
Yeah, that would be fucking great.
And is marked by a crest that indicates those attributes. With current
There's no way this shit would be this simply explained. Like, you know how over-explained simple shit is in the real world?
Yeah.
There's no way it would be this succinct in this fantasy world.
How does
I take problems with this.
how does like a Game Boy work? Well, it has a motherboard, and then on the motherboard it has a a handful of chips that communicate with each other. Just kidding. It's actually it uses the gray matter.
I wouldn't have gone that far, even though you're right. I would have just gone, it's like, you explain how to put a cartridge in a Game Boy, you say, you take the game and you put it in the back, but it's like, if the government wrote it, it would be like, you have to acquire the Game Boy TM product, you have to acquire and hold in your hand the rectangular
The Game Boy
shaped
Advance.
three-dimensional object, and not, it wouldn't say just like you put it in, it's like you have to insert.
Yeah, obtain the Nintendo registered trademark Game Boy TM Advance TM Game Pack TM.
It would be over-explained and make no sense.
Preemptive attacks, huh?
What?
That's not delivered right, I swear.
I kind of miss the Party from Eternia a little bit slightly.
I liked them. I liked Merity saying "you bet" all the time. Also, there are critical hits in this game that just do double damage, and that's not weird. But there's no notification for it, so sometimes you'll just do a shit ton of damage with one of your attacks, but there's no feedback for it at all. There's no like extra hit stop or no like critical hit thing. You just do double damage. It's very weird. I was gonna say this earlier. Is at least Persona 4 and 3 similar to 5 in that the confidants, like there's confidants you have to hang out with random people to like boost their friendship and get better abilities and stuff?
Yeah, that's like a constant from the first Persona, I think.
Okay. I assumed as much, but I wonder if the other games are as ridiculous as 5's, where it's like every person that Joker confidants with has the most depressing, ridiculously like, oh woe is me backstory of all time.
It is a little odd that like it basically just implies like your existence is making everyone's life not shit. Like not even like it's making them better, it's just making them not suffer. Like with Haru, you have her getting sold into like a marriage or whatever.
Also, after doing Yusuke's full confidant thing, it seems like, okay, not counting Futaba and Sae, it seems like Madarame is like the least horrible, because like it seems like he was a good person at some point in his career,
yes,
and then became a dickhead, but it's like everybody else is just like unabashedly a complete asshole.
It almost feels like they should have started with that one because it's by far the least like the most like morally gray. Like, he's not just a complete asshole. I mean, he is a complete asshole because the game needs to make all of its villains like puppy-kicking mustache twirlers.
Yeah. Well, I think doing the way, I think the order was fine because it's like, I thought it was going to be slowly escalating until the final guy is like not even necessarily evil. Because, yeah, the volleyball dude is just like the worst. And then Madarame is like slightly better, but he's still like a dickhead because he just watched someone die. But then it goes back to the mafia boss, and it's like, okay, I guess there's nothing here, actually. A complaint I see about Persona 5 is that, like, generally its characters are one-dimensional, so if that's a complaint, then I assume that Persona 4 is better about it.
Something I appreciate about The World Ends With You when I played it was that it just ended. They just ended the game.
It had a good ending.
Like they didn't take a whole extra stupid ass chapter where they need the power of friendship to save the day. They just ended the game with like a, and that was it. You know?
It's very that game is succinct, despite being very wordy.
Like the fact that Persona 5 just ends with, oh, it turns out we just all need friendship hard enough. It's like you can, when looking back, you can really just see it coming because the whole game is, like you said, just one-dimensional as fuck. Like the whole change of heart thing where it's like, I'm an asshole, and then you change their heart and they're like, OMG, I'm gonna turn myself in. It's just super lame. Like, instead of exploring something like, oh, I'm an asshole because I need to support my family with money and I hate people. Instead, it's just, like, I'm thinking of the bald guy specifically. I don't even know what his name is. Instead of him being like, oh, you know, I'm like a human being. Instead, it's just like, you change his heart and he's like, oh my god, I'm a terrible person. You win.
But he's actually, like, the most one-dimensional of everyone. Like, every antagonistic character in the game.
Exactly what all the people on Twitter want to hear is that there's absolute goods and evils and there's nothing gray about anything.
Yeah. At least with the first volleyball dude, you spend a lot of time around him, and you get to see his actions personally, but
yeah,
you see
true.
the final guy like barely at all for the whole game. He's the instigator for Joker's misery, but who gives a shit?
I think
Joker's got enough problems.
Because the first three guys you're all like pretty personally involved with. And then it starts getting really esoteric with like Futaba and then Haru's dad or whatever, who like you never see, and then Yoshi whatever, who you never see.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't really know.
I don't like this walking. Oh my god. I don't like this walking animation. It's way too casual.
He doesn't look right. Like he's not striding long enough.
I always liked Lloyd's walking animation because it's like a fighting game walk where he's like bouncing, he's like,
oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
like galloping kind of. I always like Soul Bad Guys like walking backward animation because it just looks like you just like started shitting on the floor to assert dominance, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's such a specific thing.
This is quite a niche experience because like we're playing this and we're talking about Persona 5.
Yeah.
You have to be in a very specific demographic to enjoy this content.